Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the breakfast show, Money Talk with SmartRobie. As we move on to the corporate headlines that really matter, we have seen last night or even today the selling of the rubber glove. Now, many of you may have the question is, when will the rubber glove selling be off? So this is important information for many of you, and I'm sure many of you are willing to know what's going to happen to the rubber glove. But if you've been following me a fair bit, and I've said before in many of our live video tutorial, which will feature on Wednesday as well on the Saturday, we really need to rotate it out. So let's look at the highlight that we have for today. Now, for those of you who are listening for the first time, just type 1 so I know you are listening for the first time, and really appreciate if you could share this video in your timeline. You're getting I'm getting an echo, is that right? Okay, that is okay. Let me just do something in first here, and I think I know why. Okay, is the echo still there? Is the echo still there? How is it now? Is it better? Okay, so these are the things that sometimes we do get, and so we're gonna be. So do appreciate if you could share this video in your timeline too. Now this morning I noticed also the Facebook has changed its interface, so I'm really getting a real challenge to how to share this on my timeline too. So I would appreciate if you could share this video in your timeline that all of us can really benefit too, right? I'm trying to figure out how to share this. More options. Yes, I think I got it. So do share it in your video. And thank you for sharing. All right, let's move on to our headline for today. Now, our headline for today is no other than, that's right, the Malaysian corporate need to ride out this recession that we've seen so far in here. So as you can see, what we have so far, the market has really, moved the matter. Let me just get this. Okay, that's better. Okay, so what we have seen, the market has worked out fairly well. We are talking about the good financials holding that we have against our regional peers. So the story which was picked up by Starbiz talks about that our local corporation has done pretty well in compared to our peer. The RAM rating has also quoted, right, that the tracking of the 721 non-financial firm has a reserve that increased to 3.6% of cash reserve for the second quarter 2020. That simply tells you that our KLSE market, many of them who are listed, won't go bankrupt. So that is something good to know. All right. So another point which I do think will help is knowing that these companies, if you look on the chart itself, the medium debt over equity and EBITDA over debt, we are one of the strongest in comparing with debt. I think this is over because of the past experience that we have, and the market were able to foot it better. Okay. Okay. If you have any question, do key it in there, and I'll hope to be able to help you to answer it. Let's move on to our next story too. Now, next story talk about the extended, right? The extended selling that we have on the rubber glove that we've seen so far. So this rubber glove selling is really causing a big concern, and many of you who have rubber glove, at least I have pre-warned most of you to really move out. So the story talks about that 15.55 billion market cap has been wiped out, and this is due to the news of the vaccine development which is coming in, and it is no surprise too. So what is also happening in there, the focus now is on the pharma counter as the vaccine news hit the glove maker. So something you want to take note. But this shouldn't come as a surprise if you've been following me, my talk. As I said before, the able to rotate out from the rubber glove, which is much earlier, about even 2 months ago, should be done in steps to rotate out to other sectors. Perhaps tonight we'll be talking about plastic counters and oil and gas and also plantation. But the news also carry from the Edge as well, for the Star Business, talks about the Pharma Niaga and Duo Pharma, right, which really benefit from this news of vaccine development. And yes, on Monday, I've talked about also news that they are preparing their facility, Pharma Niaga, to take this, and they're hoping to benefit. In the same related news, Bintai Kindle, which is also working in CanSino, and another company called Solution Biological Sdn Bhd are working to get that vaccine into our country. So that's something good for you to know about. Okay, at the same premise, last Wednesday, I talked about the COVID-19 vaccine, which is about an hour long. So check out that video on YouTube/TradeVSA. As you can see, the market will definitely help you to decide whether it is time to move over to vaccine. As I talk about also the US market and the Hong Kong market, as well as these two counter, Pharma Niaga and Duo Pharma being the better and stronger company for that one. Okay. So let's move on to our next story. So our next story talks about the rubber glove. Now, rubber glove just reported 135% jump in their earnings, so their net profit jumped 131 million compared to 55.9 million. Revenue also increases almost by another additional 200 million. Now, this always been a concern that many of people have, is the mismatch of the earnings. When the earnings come, so what do people do? Right? They buy, isn't it? No, when the earnings come, it's time to exit. And a lot of these we have talked about even earlier on, as early as May, that these earnings already been reflected because the price tend to move faster than that. Let's take a look at Kossan today. All right. If you look at Kossan today on your right hand side of the screen using the SmartRobie, you could see the live stock prices in here. Right, it's up 2.6%, maybe due to the news that you see in here, which is very, very good. Now, the same story also talk about the Malaysian rubber glove manufacturer also projects, right, a growth of 20%. Now, this is important in here, a 20% growth. Right, let me just get back to here again. So, because this 20% growth will help to cushion any additional market that we see right now, would give a little bit of up room for the rubber glove to come, right? Because the 20% growth to 330 billion pieces will give some cushion to it. No doubt, those of you who have not bought rubber glove, maybe it's time to buy a rubber glove, right? Because going forward, the longer term trend of rubber glove is still positive. It's just a shorter time because of the news of the vaccine, and we have seen also the current Republican convention, RNC National Convention, which is ongoing. So lots of this news has been pushed out to bring Donald Trump into the limelight. But then again, something for you to think about whether rubber glove is something you want to buy. All right, let's move on to our next story that we have, right? Yeah, DGSP, yes. Now remember, all these premium alert that we talk about, they only work two-thirds of the time. If you need to cut, you need to cut. All right. So for DGSB, you must follow the SmartRobie trading plan. If you cannot trade the premium alert, then you want to trade the longer term stocks like Nestle, which we will talk about later on. So it's also very important for you to know what you want. So a trading plan is very important. Now, along the same line, we have is another company, MSCM, venturing into the rubber glove maker. MSCM venturing into a rubber glove maker. So the story talks about the turnkey glove production with Howell Industry for 59.4 million cash to commission to build more rubber glove production line. So this is more of like an OEM where they will build for how well, and they are going to output 241 million pieces per annum, adding up to the additional 6 lines that able to ramp up to 1.5 billion pieces. Now the question has always been, is there enough demand for the rubber glove? Now going forward, it's going to be a same situation, I believe, during the CPO days back in 2008, where we see many people going out to plant CPO. What happened next? Usually we will get right oversupply, but hopefully with the COVID, post-COVID going forward, where the consumption of rubber glove will still be high, because we will see travel as well as leisure continue to use rubber glove other than medical, because rubber glove traditionally is only used, those surgical gloves are used by medical, but in the post-COVID-19, maybe travel and leisure will also use more. Now Johnny is asking about me taking a look at stocks. In this session, we don't normally take a look at stocks, all right? We normally do that on the 9:30 session. This session is the Money Talks with SmartRobie is looking at the particular stocks. You can actually key in there, right? If you look at some stocks you want to see, like MMAG, for example, right? Hit that one, and you can go on to the stock charts. So what does the stock chart say? The stock chart says this is a pretty good move, right? You got line change, all right? And what is the trading plan? Follow the trading plan that you have there. So if you look at this, the trading plan is to buy if it breaks 53 cents. Now, if you look at 53 cents, let's look at the price right now. It's down 44 cents. So pullback is at 42 and 44 half cents. So that is a plan to buy on the pullback. So you need to know pullback is an advanced method that we teach in our masterclass. Now, if you look to the right hand side of the screen, we are opening our registration for masterclass. So the plan is, do you want to enter at 53 cents or do you want to enter at 44 cents? That is going to be based on your risk tolerance. And the holding period is 2 weeks to 2 months. So all this is already been planned for you. The question is, do you want to enter or not? Because this is how Robie will look at you and help you not. But generally, most people only want to enter after the stock has gone higher. That's where the problem starts. You need to, right, know when to take profit too. So decide about that. So that's why we always say education is fairly important. In understanding this, MMAG, what's the reason be that? We look at the news, right? And the news has been, it's all trading idea, dispose 30% equity stakes, interest to MSCM. So maybe this is due to the rubber glove too. That's why this is going up. Because you can see item number 3, MFAG disposed 30% equity to MSCM. So MSCM as a new shareholder as MAG, so this does looks like a rubber glove, because the MMAG and MSCM, I think they are related. So then the question is this a good time? Do you want to be buying in rubber glove? So this is why we always talk about in our course, the hands and the brain. The brain will tell you whether this is a good sector to buy with consideration of the rubber glove, but the hand is just looking purely from a setup standpoint, meaning what is the risk to reward, what is the trading plan. When you combine the brain and the hands, then you are a complete trader. Something that we teach in our master class. All right, let's move on to our next story a bit. Okay, now the next story talks about AirAsia. That's right. Now AirAsia again looks to registered next coming quarter also lost. Now in the last quarter, June 30th, they lost 992 million, right? But because of the recent so-called minor bailout from the banks, they're pumping in another 1 billion, right? Means there are more debts. They have sufficient cash to run their operation to 2021. So the question is this time to look into AirAsia? Now let's look at AirAsia. Definitely AirAsia right now. Okay. So you see AirAsia. Now let's look at AirAsia now. It's down 2.8%, all right? But let's look at the chart wise from AirAsia. When did the green pentagon comes out? If you notice, the green pentagon came out much earlier on in the first week. Let me just bring this up a bit. Okay, on the 9th of August. Okay, 9th of August, and we have a nice line change in here. Is this the time to buy AirAsia? Again, the brain and the setup. From a setup standpoint, this does look with a good risk to reward trade, because like what Warren Buffett said, you only want to buy when no one is interested, right? And right now, with all the losses, nobody even want to touch it. So this becomes whether do you want to buy a turnaround company, again, something for the brain to think about. So we always say about it is important to equip ourselves with the skill needed. So when you assess and make those decisions, especially inputs, comes from news, bloggers, charts, you need to know what you need to do. Else, you're just pouring your own money into a sea, and that is a waste of money, right? Because we also talk about other possibility of sectors like in the US, but you want to know more about a chart setup, do join my colleague 9:30, all right? Every night except Wednesday night and Thursday, where Zac will be doing the stock analysis and review. I think many of you who are listening have done so far. All right, let's move on to our next story. All right, it's no other than Nestle, something very, very positive, which is what we call a defensive stock. Now, Nestle, like it or not, posts a second quarter of 105 million and declared 70 cents in here. Now, the story goes into that, no doubt, they have made profits. Profit was less, but it declined due to the COVID-19, where it declined by 32.7% in here. Q2 revenue also declined by 8.7% to 1.22 billion, but it is also still in the range of billions in here. But one thing good about Nestle being able to reinventing themselves, they are adding up, okay, new products like the Starbucks coffee range, which I was going to go out and try. I did go over to the Cafe 99, but I couldn't find any of those coffee, but maybe I have to go to the bigger supermarket. Now, also at the same time, you will notice that the Maggi Goreng segment for the Nestle do well. I always believe, and I do have Nestle in my own segment as well, many of my clients, because this is one segment you should have some exposure again. So knowing that, that would definitely help. Now let's look at Nestle for what it is. Okay, we hit Nestle, and let's look at the stock chart. You can see stock chart for Nestle is still supported, well supported at $140 in here. Right now we have a red pentagon, but it is still above it in here. I think this is actually a good area to buy. As you can see, let's look at the dividend. Okay, the dividend is 2%, but the ROE of 90%. That is a very, very high ROE, but the P of 57%. So it still makes it as a undervalued stock, because this company is almost cash rich. Again, sometimes Robie did say here the PE is too high to do projection target. That's right, because you have 57 PE, right? And we want to see companies generally in the range of 20 to 25. Now, if you notice, even growth stocks like Penta, Great Tech, they are really around 45 to 50 times PE, but this one 57, and this is not really a growth stock. This is more a defensive stock. Why is that? Because a lot of people are going defensive and pushing up this stock price in here. Now, let's move on to our next story. Now, the next story revolves around the KLCI news, which I think you all should know, because there is a new function in here called the KLCI news, right? And it's stocks driven in here. Oh, okay. There's no KLCI news. I apologize for that one. But early on, we did have something here I want to show you, right? Because the Robie will go out and scan for news in here. Let me just show you this here. The KLCI news. Yep, this is the one here. So you notice, right? The KLCI news work in such a way that Robie will go out and detect these news, okay, these news, and bring it back into the SmartRobie. So Robie, in this case, you can see we have three good news in here: Server Dynamics, Valesto, right, and Fajar. All right. So these, and the fourth one in here is FGV. Okay. So let me just bring out the here, right? So you can see here we have Fajar, Server Dynamics, Valesto, and we have FGV. So these are the three stocks you can look at. So look at 5224, look at Fajar as an opportunity in here. We hit the stock comment. So you can see Fajar just turned right That's right, it just turned the green pentagon, all right? And let's look at what were the news about Fajar, okay? We can see Fajar, were there any news to look at it in here? Right, you can see research house are positive about Fajar financial outlook. That's August 25th. And that's maybe something for you to rotate out. There are some other news, also plantation, which is very good. So the other one we have seen up here is server dynamics, remember? So we can look at server dynamics. Right, server dynamics. And you can see server dynamics. Looking at the news in here, what is the new sentiment? The new sentiment is very positive. It registered higher profits. Isn't that great? Higher profit. So let's look at the chart. Now, this is how you, for those of you who want to go beyond the premium alert, want to be buying based on news, not on good news, but on news that matter. That's why we talk about Money Talk with SmartRobie. They're able to pick this up. So you can see server dynamics hasn't turned green pentagon yet, but it's certainly looking very good from a setup. And how do we know that? Okay, you can hit the news in here for server dynamics, and you can see revenue and earnings is up, interestingly enough. So you don't need to do much research. Robie will do it for you. So you can pick on that one. And the KLCI news, let's check it again, because every 30 minutes Robie will pick up some news for you in here. Right now we don't have any related news, and it will pick up and show it back to you. So that's what I want to talk about in here. The other section I want to talk about is the KLCI market today. Now, if you look at the KLCI market now, right now is down 8 points. But all in all, you look at the chart. The chart tells you it's in red pentagon. You can see the red pentagon on the left-hand side of the screen, but the market is actually moving down. You see, it is still well supported at 1560. That's not good. Anytime when you break down 150, it's going to go further down. But looking from it, because of the rubber glove, right, we see this trend will still persist on the bearish mode. We won't see big sell-off. I don't believe you'll see big sell-off because Kossan are still registering positive, but the rotation are causing this a fair bit. All right, so do take note of this one here. Okay. So let's move on to our next story, okay? That we have for you here. Is no other than our morning pick. That's right. Now this morning on the premium alert, I have picked for you AncomLB. Now this is a backdoor listing in here, AncomLB, okay? Now, do take note, our market are in negative territory. You don't need to trade if you want to. The trading rules has always been trade when you see this one up here. You can see this one here when it is bluish. That's why it's important for you to look at those videos that we have and only want to buy when it's bullish bull market. That's right, bullish bull market. Right now, it is bearish, so you can avoid it. But I want to show you this setup in here. If you look at the MCOM trend in here, it's up 20%. This morning when I look at it was so much. So this is a stock that has real momentum in here. I think it's pushing up a fair bit in here. You need a courage of a lion to buy these shares. Okay, let me just come back here again and hit this. Fat fingers. There's a question, will we see SmartRobie for other markets? We are looking at US market, but it will likely to be end of the year. Okay, US markets, Hong Kong, and finally Singapore markets. But we are launching our Bursa version, which I will show you next. Okay, but we need the continued people to buy and use some of the this is the Encon. As you can see, market went up 14% in here, but the setup looks pretty good, and that's what I like about this, right? I think there's still some momentum for it to go higher, so that will be the stock pick for today. Okay, now also on Wednesday pick, you will notice I have picked ARB, which is down minus 1.7, but DNonce did good pretty well, up about 8%. So let's look at DNonce in here, which I picked on Wednesday, because it's a tech sector. So that's why I pick about it. And you can look at the stock price chart in here. It's up 5%, 56 cents. And let's look at the stock chart, which is the Wednesday pick. Not all of them work. So that's why I say sometimes if it doesn't work, you need to cut, okay? So this one is pretty good. From last Friday, today's Wednesday, last Monday, you can see this is a nice follow through On Monday, the chart was here and the market continued to follow up. So a good one, at least we have for that one. Let's move on to our next story. Now, next story will be tonight's talk. Now, tonight talk, I'll be talking about plastic counters. Now, I've talked about this before because of the Dyson factor, but I think it is good wise because we are seeing the plastic counters are moving up, and perhaps some of you may want some ideas to rotate out from your older shares, and we're going to look at some very positive financials as well as good setup for tonight on our plastic counter. So tonight's talk at 9:30, make sure you join me, will be can KLSE plastic counter grow as big as rubber glove counters like Top Glove and Hata, and find out whether it is worthwhile to take a pick or not. All right, so that's something we're going to do tonight in here. So make sure you join me 9:30. And also this Saturday, another special talk, best in class value trading, we call it, where we're going to combine momentum trading with canceling and magic numbers. Something for you to think about and to enhance your skill again. So join me again on Saturday, 2 p.m., which is the 29th of August for that one. And not forget our 31st August, our launching of our SmartRobie. That's right, SmartRobie will be available in Bahasa. Actually, it's already there. You can see up here. You can see on our chart here, you can switch on to Bahasa and English. The menu will still be English, but the reply will be in Bahasa. Something those of you who like it to be in Bahasa, just text it in there, and many of our reply will reply you in Bahasa, and we will do a short presentation supported by our celebrity trader, Chef Saham, on 31st of August, 11 a.m. broadcasting live from the fb.com Martin TF Wong, and we have Coach Arif to narrate everything. Now do take note, this live FB will be in Bahasa, something good for our Muslim and Malay friends who like it to be in Bahasa. I pun nak cakap bahasa juga kan. Kalau dalam Ogos 31 Ogos pukul 11 pagi kan, kita akan lancarkan SmartRobie dalam version Bahasa Malaysia kan. So I will see you on Wednesday night. I'll see you on Friday morning, and I'll see you on Saturday, and also on next Tuesday. So I'm always here with you. Our team coach and Zac is always here to support you guys. All right. So let's move on. Finally, no other than what we have is those of you who are first time, do join our Telegram. Right, it's totally free, and all the available news are out there to support you. So with that, right, don't forget to sign up for our Telegram if you have not done so. Else, I'll see you tonight 9:30 p.m. for the talk on KLSE plastic counter. Can it grow as big as the rubber glove maker? With that, bye bye.